Hello, my name is Nicolas Montalban. I'm actually working as an assistant professor at the University Center of Defense in San Javier, Spain. Today, I'm going to talk about quality in human and machine translation. House starts most of her works with questions such as, what is a good translation? Quality translation should be mentioned here associated to the goals of machine translation and the new interactive and or adaptive interfaces that have been proposed for post-editing. Therefore, in this case, human and machine translation are inextricably linked. Some recent studies mention that machine translation is almost like human one or human-like, or that this gets closer to that of average human translator. Arenberg states that the aim of machine translation is overcoming language barriers. Although human translation is aimed at producing texts that satisfy the linguistic norms of a target culture and are adapted to the assumed knowledge of its readers. Nevertheless, there are authors who claim that it is almost impossible to overcome the perfection of human translation. All right, so House defines translation as the result of a linguistic textual operation in which a text in one language is recontextualized in another language. And MyCAD states that the equivalence is one of the most important aspects or goals of translation. A translator has to focus on researching for the best equivalent terms between two different languages or dialects. To carry out this work, different types of materials were used. First, a collection of texts in English dealing with quantum physics, technology, medicine, environment, and geology, with an extension of 600 words for each one. Then the second one is an extract from right there, a literary text from the narrative genre. For the machine translation, two different tools were used: MyCAD for the scientific technical texts and WordFast Anywhere for the literary text. Apart from that, a representative text in Spanish were selected for comparison purposes. A selection of 5 scientific technical texts from well-known international scientific publications. As far as the literary text, an extract was chosen from the book Escritos de un viejo indecente by Bukowski, from the same genre and full of phraseological units, including on insults. The first evaluation metric we are introducing are precision and recall. Then where error rate is another metric we are implementing to end with the most common one, which is the bilingual evaluation under study. According to MyCAD site, MyCAD is a free and open source online CAD tool. In MyCAD translation, assignments are organized into projects in which the user specifies the source language and the target language. One project comprises one or several texts to be translated, and each project has a translation memory. As far as the second CAD tool use in the is WordFast Anywhere, which is a translation memory of the company Word. The procedure to use it is as follows. The text is divided into segments that are being translated and stored, creating glossaries and translations which will appear in future translations depending on the index of coincidence of the words. Right. To analyze the appropriateness of the texts as regard reading, a code in Python language has been developed. The first operation carried out by this code is sequencing words of a text to recover the number of paragraphs, sentences, words, and syllables in total, and later it determines 5 metrics based upon the studies in cometrics, but simplified. This new technique is called little SP, since this is based on cometric and does not need large dictionaries nor corpuses formed by thousands of words to offer consistent results. Furthermore, on the other hand, a specific formula have been introduced for texts written in Spanish, when just a few changes have to be made to adapt it to any language without any extra costs. To apply the aforementioned metrics, okay, the following are needed: a reference text conforming to a valid corpus, a glossary of technical or specific terms, which is helping to know which words are specific within a corpus. These terms will not include measurement units nor word stops. A set of connectors allowing to know then, in a sentence, something is being inferred from something previously said. The selectric metrics and their changes are narrativity. It is calculated determining which words of the text to be evaluated are already being recognized in the reference text. Readability, it determines the simplicity of the text in this language. In the case of Spanish, the readability of Fernandez has been chosen based on flex, which is using a number of sentences, syllables, and words. If someone wants to do it for the English language, it only needs to be changed with the flex Kincaid, whose formula is also based on a similar calculation. Referential cohesion, in this version, the same referential cohesion as in cometrics is calculated, but instead of considering all nouns, it is only applied in technical or specific terms recognized in the glossary. Then we have the deep cohesion. It determines the incidence of the connector over the recognized sentences to end with concreteness. In this version, instead of calculating the concreteness over the whole corpus of the language, the incidence of the terms of the glossary is determined from the recognized words in the reference text within the text to be evaluated. After applying this simplified version of cometrics over the produced texts in Spanish, it is possible to see how, after being evaluated separately within a mark from 0 to 10, they seem to describe a similar curve. As can be seen in the above figures, different types of written texts for different technical corpuses seem to be minor differences in marks, but with a pattern that seems to say that measurements are not at random. Therefore, it seems that in addition, the texts used as references representing a corpus without errors have a mark below 10, so students can never get that mark. Therefore, not only must each liter metric be weighted in such a way that favors the distinction among students' faculties, but in addition, the results must be amplified so the reference texts have the same mark. For this reason, now there is an explanation on how to calculate the weighting of each metric and the constant used to amplify the mark. So here are the results of evaluating the reference texts. Okay, due to the fact that reference texts have a mark below 10, as it can be observed in this figure, in blue bars. After applying amplification 1.39, the results would be near 10. To be able to calculate a specific amplification to the text belonging to the corpus, the following formula could be applied. Regarding the calculation of the marks of the texts, the amplification constant must be applied by the addition of each metric divided by its maximum and multiplied by its weight. For example, the following formula can be observed over the technology texts. After applying the corresponding formula already described above, the following results are achieved. Here there is an example on technology texts and literature texts. In this work, a new and different tool has been shown which adds a supplementary challenge for students, the possibility of improving the readability of their own translations from English to Spanish. Given the facts, a technique explained before is working properly mainly due to two results. On one hand, it is proof that different texts coming from different typologies, including machine translation texts, get good or bad marks in the same metrics. On the other hand, the texts also show that after refining the final mark, the result is approximate to a student's evaluation. Moreover, it is important to stress the easy programming, which does not require large corpuses, despite the fact that it comes from systems needing an enormous extra charge in the development of programming. This last feature is complemented by the fact that it is easily transformed to be working in any language. Thanks for attending.